So good evening. I I thought I would speak a little bit about what happened to me when I began to meditate so intensely. Um, I found one of the diaries. Um, I think it was several of these black books, and I I just like I constantly drew things like that, and and my life already got so bad that I really thought about selling my soul or making a spiritual contract, a real spiritual contract, because by that time I knew enough to would have been able to do that, and I was already practicing ceremonial magic in the garden. Um, but basically I made so much progress in meditation that I really didn't have to do that. I didn't have to get all ceremonial about that stuff. I It would have been just enough to make use of um, visualization, or which would have been even more powerful, uh, using the emotional body to manifest. So, what do I mean when I say using the emotional body to manifest? So, magic is all about manifestation, and um, and prayer is magic. For example, prayer, you could say prayer is magic. Depends on who you're praying to, I suppose. So usually if you buy books on mind control, silver mind control, the law of attraction, they always leave out the part that I assume you learn when you are getting high enough up in some fraternity like Masonry, for example, where you learn how to manifest. And most people think manifestation is about visualization, but as far as I know, if you get up high enough, you learn that you have a way higher success rate, nearing 99%, if you use the emotional body to manifest and not visualization, because visualization is like the tip of the iceberg of your consciousness, is the third eye. And what's way more powerful is to summon up um, an emotion that you will experience in the future when you get what you desire. That's what I mean when I say using the emotional body to manifest. And that's way more, has a way higher success rate then visualization is great. If you um, have the time to meditate every day, then this could be way enough. But if you don't have the time to do that, you use the emotional body and you just do that for 3 minutes, and the emotional body has way more electromagnetic energy behind it than the third eye. So you can use the third eye to manifest, but it's way more powerful if you use the emotional body. And um, I try to explain how you do that. So so usually you would go into meditation. Usually the deeper you are in meditation, the more powerful it becomes. And you would visualize. For example, you have uh, what I used to do every time when I had to do anything that has to do with magistrates. I would the day before that I would visualize myself go out of that big wooden door with the huge copper door handles, and um, I would summon up the emotion of just, and I would really do that gesture in meditation. Yes, it worked again. That's it. So I would visualize myself go out of the door, and I would say to myself, yes, it worked again. That's it. Nothing more to it than that. And it worked every time. It never, if it ever did not, no, it worked every time. And I did that with um, every appointment that was important, worked every time. And I just, for the heck of it, I then, when I went out the door, I really did that. Yes. And it worked all the time. So I would summon up the emotion that there were no problems. Everything worked very fast, and I basically went in there and out there, and everything is okay. Because for a good 10 years or 15 years, it never was okay. Nothing worked, nothing. It was always some problem with they didn't get some blood work or urine test or this or that or this or that or this or that, or my the uh, the psychiatrist didn't send his documents on time, so now they would have to take away my driver's license. Things like that would happen. So I just, and also they would let me wait there for hours. Even if nobody was before me, they just would let me wait there for hours. Even if no one was before me, I would sit there the whole from 8 in the morning to 11:30 usually. Even if there's no one before me, and it So when I began using these manifestation techniques, it worked every time. And as far as I know, to be able to get that knowledge about real manifestation, which is not visualization, it's using the emotional body, that's real manifestation. But to learn that, I assume you have to be a 33rd degree Mason or something. Yeah. So this was something that helped me unbelievably, and but also just visualizing something for 20 minutes that would like do the trick usually, unless there is some higher force blocking that or whatever. Or so usually my visualization things worked, and when I switched to using the emotional body for manifestation, it worked all the time. All the time. And whatever I visualized or wanted to happen, that just happened. And that saved my neck many times, many times. And certain friends of mine, basically they they just gave up. They just gave up. And because it's so uh, demoralizing if you treat it like less than a dog, and so on. It's just how where how could you have any hope for the future if that's your life? How could you have any hope that there will be anything good ever again? That's a real magic trick, to have hope in a situation that goes on for such a long time, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And the people who used to curse themselves, who said things like, I have already accepted that I am a junkie and that I will die young. I never said that, because at that point in time I was already aware that the words you speak are very, very powerful. So if you curse yourself, you take yourself your very, very last chance, and then you basically tell the universe, take my life, I don't care. So that's also why I used to say before you start doing mantras, just first stop cursing yourself, which might be even more powerful than using mantras. Because if you constantly say things like, I'm such an idiot, or things like that, what people say, you're cursing yourself. So before you do mantras, just stop cursing yourself. And suddenly your life just, it took me a long time for my life to somehow have a resemblance of normalcy again. A very, very long time. But if you make use of this occult knowledge, and I'm not using that word as a synonym for evil, because that's not what it means. It just means it has been hidden. So now you know why there are a handful of trillionaires and a handful of wannabe trillionaires. because they make use of that knowledge. And there is way more to that than I could ever explain in a 15-minute video. And I had to learn a lot to just get some idea. And there's one guy who used to have unbelievably precious occult lectures. And he is not 200 years dead, he's still alive. His name is Mark Passio. And one of the most incredible lectures that I've ever heard about occultism was from Mark Passio, and it was called Streetwise Spirituality. Streetwise Spirituality. Maybe I put the link in the description box. I think it's pretty long, but it really, if you want to get a grasp about these subject matters, there's a guy who knows a lot about that stuff and who can word it in a way that you can understand it. So that's not very common to be able to understand all this mumbo jumbo. This is also one reason why I really don't like Aleister Crowley, because he does his best to use the most arcane language that you can use, and it's just indecipherable, blah 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 blah, and he's hugely overrated. And if you have a lot of time, you can also listen to the Tom Riddle lectures. Anyway, so yeah, so I I had a lot of these things. This must have been around the time where I did the Kundalini thing, and it's kind of like automatic writing. And you see there are two snakes, and someone sitting in the lotus posture with the Kundalini serpent and the moon and the stars. So that was like just automatic writing, just out of boredom. And there would come this incredible drawing, which I did in like 5 minutes or something. And that's also an effect that has been used by many musicians. And as far as I know the one of the most famous songs in rock and roll, Stairway to Heaven, came about like that, with via automatic writing. Because if you make up your mind to do something, to write a song, for example, you already block yourself from receiving something from the universe. So that's also a reason why usually I never plan my videos, because they just turn out to be better if I don't usually plan them in any way, to be open to your true self, or to the spirit, or whatever you want to call it, or to the Holy Spirit. And so as far as I know, um, Stairway to Heaven was written like that, and I think it was written in Boleskine house, which Jimmy Page bought Boleskine house in on near Loch Ness, which Crowley bought for himself to do the Abramelin ritual, and I did that ritual in an afternoon, and he spent like a year on that ritual or something. And yeah, anyway, so and he was looking for a house that would have an opening. I think he looked for a house with an opening to the east, and there would have to be a beach to the east and water to the east to have this special temple for his ritual that he did, which supposedly he never finished. Of course, people like who are very much in love with Alistair Edward Alexander Crowley say no, he did finish the ritual, blah 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 blah. It's unbelievable. Like Damien Eccles, people like Damien Eccles constantly talk about Aleister Crowley and blah 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 blah, and he's completely tattooed from head to toe with his magical sigils, and he kind of looks like a homeless person by now, with like hair. I don't know. Anyway, Damien Eccles is a weird guy. So yeah. So I wanted to read because talking about manifestation, I wanted to read this thing from the Bible about how to pray, and Jesus says, it's Matthew chapter 6, and Jesus says, take heed that you do not your alms before men to be seen of them, otherwise you have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward already. So if you pray, make sure nobody knows about it. Go into a closet if you have to, because that's how you get reward from God. If you seek reward from men, and you pray in such a way that people know that you're constantly praying, and you to be praised by men for your great prayer life or your great fasting or whatever, then you already have your reward. So yeah. But when thou doest alms, which I assume is almosen, I'm not sure, alms, ALMS, But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which sees in secret himself shall reward thee openly. And when you pray, don't pray like the hypocrites do, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they already have their reward. But you, when you pray, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. So this is hugely important. This is hugely important. And yeah. So thank you for listening, and yeah, thanks for listening.